Hola, me llamo Gemma Duffy y bienvenidos a esta lección de Great Academy, donde vamos a aprender sobre la anotación en el diario. Some common topics that have come up in the past in the diary entry question are a stay in Spain and saying what it was like, your reaction to it, your day and how you felt about it, expressing emotions and reactions, describing an incident that has happened, things you have to do, both present and in the future, describing your feelings and saying you're tired or excited, plans for the future, what you did last summer or last weekend or over the holidays, again, all referring to the past, talking about things you will do or would like to do in the future, or you could use the conditional here as well, and plans for tomorrow, which again is the future. So as you can see, there's a variety of tenses needed here. If you look at your notes which accompany this lesson, you can see plenty of topics which have appeared in the past. And if you look closely at these tables, you'll see in the description part that most often you're asked to describe either a place you've been, or a person you've met, or an event that happened. So if you're describing a person or a place, you're going to be using adjectives. If you're describing an event, you're going to be thinking of verbs. Also, you're generally asked to talk about something in the future. So something that's going to happen tomorrow, what you're going to do, some hopes you might have. Maybe you're planning a trip, or there's maybe an upcoming concert, or perhaps you're going to buy something. So again, there's more here. And if you look closely at this table, it's not that there's any particular pattern, but you can start to see that you will definitely need to be able to say, I'm going to do something, or I hope to do something, as well as describing people, places, and actions. Next, we have our layout. So you're going to start off your diary entry with the date in the top right-hand corner. Generally give the day, remember not to use a capital letter, and then the date followed by the time. Querido Diario will be your greeting. Watch your spelling here. And then you're going to have your 4 points. Use either paragraphs or bullet points to make it quite clear when one point ends and the next one begins. And then finally sign off with something like hasta luego or hasta mañana, something similar to that. In the notes that you got accompanying this lesson, you have lots of different useful phrases that can be used in a diary entry depending on the topic or the situation you're talking about. So when you're opening your diary entry, make sure you know what you're going to say. This is something you can definitely prepare in advance, such as estoy escribiendo estas líneas en la cama. I'm writing these lines in bed, and obviously your querido diario, your dear diary. If you're in Spain, which generally speaking, it will be that you're either visiting Spain or living in Spain or going to Spain or just come back from Spain. Acabo de llegar, I've just arrived. You can use that again for any topic. It doesn't have to be in Spain. It can be, I've just arrived home. Acabo de llegar a casa. Llegué ayer, I arrived yesterday. Or you might say, llegué hace 2 semanas. It just depends. You need to be able to vary these sentences, but there are bits in them that can be applied elsewhere. Again, we've got a description of a city there, Madrid es. You can apply that to any description of a city or a person. Just make sure you adapt your adjectives accordingly. And there's an example of la gente es maja. The people are sound. You can also say amable, simpática. Remember, la gente is a singular noun, so the adjective also needs to be singular and feminine. When you're writing about your day, you'll generally have had a good day or a bad day. So at the top of this table, we have a lot of phrases that you can use for a good day, and at the bottom, we've got a bad day. You're generally going to probably be tired from having done something. So in the middle, you can see estoy muy cansado. Again, if you're a girl, muy cansada. ¿Qué día era? It doesn't matter what you're talking about. That's a nice phrase to use. What day it was, or what a day it was. Estoy emocionado. I'm excited if you're looking forward to something. Or estoy muy cansado if you're tired after doing something. So again, you're still using estoy. It's just a matter of changing your adjective. He tenido, I have had. It doesn't matter what kind of a day you have had. You can use he tenido un día for any day. You just change the adjective. He tenido un día terrible. He tenido un día fantástico. Here are 3 different possible scenarios that you may have to describe. So an incident could be one, and you'll notice you can start this with vi, I saw, and then just say what the incident was you saw. Había, there was or there were. So it doesn't really matter what the incident was. Obviously, you're going to need the vocabulary to describe it, but if you keep it simple, you know you can use the word vi, I saw, and había, there was or there were. Things you have to do. Tengo que, necesito. Last summer or last weekend or last year, again, have your past tense verbs ready, such as fui. If you're using the third person plural for we, you might say fuimos, nos quedamos, or you could say me quedé, lo pasamos bien, or me lo pasé bien. This is a really nice phrase to use. We had a great time. If you had a bad time, me lo pasé mal. And then have a variety of verbs of things you did, such as you could use fui, as we mentioned, or comí, bebí, tomé el sol, if it's the case that you were abroad, visité, what did you visit? More scenarios are your plans for the future. So be ready to say something in the future tense, and ideally, if you can vary between both future tenses, that's even better. So be able to say some next month, year, summer, whatever day it is, by using either que viene, or you can put the word próximo in front of the day or the month. So el próximo mes or el próximo verano. Being able to use the future tense to say visitaré or voy a visitar. So the things you're going to do, again, have a selection of verbs ready. You could also use the conditional here for your hopes. Me gustaría, I would like, followed by an infinitive verb. There's an example here of using the present tense, tengo exámenes en junio, but you're using the present tense to refer to the future here, and that's absolutely fine too. Or if you say tengo planes de, hacer algo. So again, followed by an infinitive. You can use the present tense there, referring to the future. Quiero, followed by an infinitive verb to say what you want to do. When you're closing your diary entry, there's lots of ways to close it. So again, pick some of these sentences that you think will work for you. Be able to adapt them where necessary. So you might be tired. Again, estoy cansado or cansada is fine. Or you could say cansadísimo or agotado to vary up your language a little bit. You might want to say no puedo escribir más, I can't write more, porque tengo mucho sueño, because I'm very tired or sleepy in this case. This is one of those phrases that uses tener. Mañana contaré cómo me sale. Tomorrow I'll let you know how I get on. A lot of these phrases here mean the same thing, so you don't need to learn them all. Pick which one works for you. Nada más por ahora is a nice one that would fit in with most topics. And then obviously buenas noches, because it's nighttime and you're probably going to say goodnight. More vocabulary, again, which you can use. So you'll notice that by putting vaya in front of something or que in front of something, what a day or how lucky, there's a lot of vocabulary here. So pick ones that will give you enough vocabulary so that you can deal with any type of situation. It's unlikely that you'd ever need to use more than maybe 2 of these, 3 max in a diary entry. You can get away without using them, but it's a good idea to use some of them. Vaya día works for many, many diary entries. If you say que followed by suerte, how lucky, or que mala suerte, how unlucky. Expressing feelings. So this is something you're definitely going to have to do in a diary entry. So again, the more of these you know, the better. And try to learn ones that aren't just basic, like bien or mal, or, look for more complex feelings to show the examiner that you have the vocabulary. So emocionado is a nice one. If you've used it somewhere else in your exam, try to use something different like ilusionado. Make sure, again, if you're using the feminine form, be consistent and use it throughout. This one down the bottom, no estoy para, is slightly different in that it's in the negative, and we're using para. And you're going to follow it with an infinitive. No estoy para ir mañana. I'm not up for going tomorrow if it's something you don't want to do. Or similarly, make it positive. Estoy para ir. I'm up for going. Notice here, there's 2 words for confused, and often some of these words can be interchanged. This can be helpful for your synonyms section, but also, again, to vary up your writing, to show that you have plenty of vocabulary. If you're talking about your host family, your familia anfitriona, there's some phrases here that you might find useful. Again, these are all in your notes, and take note that some of the phrases are the same, they're just adapted to talk about different situations. You can say la familia es with any adjective. Me ayuda muchísimo con mi español, or maybe they help you with something else. Es encantadora, there's es again. If you want to talk about the area you're staying in, here's plenty of phrases, and again, you'll notice we've got the similar verbs being used. El pueblo es encantador. El pueblo es un poco aislado. Tiene, so what does it have? ¿Dónde está? Está al lado de una playa. Está en la sierra. So it's not that you have to learn all of these phrases. It's that you can use these phrases to see how you can adapt one phrase for a variety of different scenarios. If you're talking about la comida or the food, again, the same applies. Here's a really good example of where you can use idiomatic Spanish. So, la comida está para chuparse los dedos. So, chuparse los dedos literally means to suck your fingers. So, if you think of chupa chups, the lollipop, chupar is to suck. So, you lick your fingers when you're finished eating something delicious. So, in this case, you're saying the food is absolutely delicious. Let's look at a sample. So you've just visited Spain for the first time. Write a diary entry in Spanish and mention the following points. You'll find this in the notes that you got which accompany this lesson. So let's go through it together. First of all, let's identify the verbs we need. In this particular one, we need the present tense. Me quedo en, I'm staying in. Or you could say estoy quedándome en, or me alojo. Me gusta porque, I like it because. In the next one, we need the present perfect, he conocido, because you're still there. You could get away with using conocí, but it's a nice opportunity to use the present perfect here. And me llevo bien or mal, con whoever is present tense. And when you're describing them, use es. Or if you're describing their hair and their eyes, try to use tener, tiene. Any difficulties? So again, this is wide open. You can write whatever you want about what particular difficulties you might have had, but try to use the present perfect here. Ha sido difícil. It has been difficult because you're still there. And then when you're setting the scene of where you were when something happened, use the imperfect tense, cuando estaba, and then the preterite to say what actually happened in that moment. Algo pasó. So what happened? Then to say what you would like to see in a future occasion, you can use the present with espero or the conditional me gustaría. I recommend you use the conditional here because we've used the present tense already. So let's look at the sample. Remember, this is just a sample, but I've highlighted in yellow the phrases that we needed to say, and I've highlighted in bold the phrases that you can use in any diary entry. So we've opened up at the start with our date. So 10 o'clock at night is when this is written. Querido diario, dear diary, escribo estas líneas en la cama después de un día largo. I'm writing these lines in bed after a long day. Vaya día muy chulo. So what a cool day. What a very cool day. Vi un montón de cosas. I saw a lot of things. Es mi primera vez en España. It's my first time in Spain. Y me quedo en un apartamento en el centro de la ciudad de Barcelona por unos días. And I'm staying in an apartment in the center of the city of Barcelona for a few days. Again, you're showing lots of vocabulary there. You could just say me quedo en Madrid, and you're still saying where you're staying. But by saying you're staying in an apartment in the center of this particular city for a few days, you're showing the examiner that you know how to form a complex sentence, but at the same time, it's not too complex for us to do. Me encanta el barrio porque está cerca de muchas tiendas y sitios interesantes. So I love the area because it's near many shops and interesting places. Además, no está lejos de la playa. Furthermore, it's not far from the beach. Hay un montón de cosas de hacer. There are lots of things to do. You could say mucho here, but un montón de is more idiomatic in that you're saying a mountain of things. So there's lots of things to do. Vaya emoción. So how exciting. Conocí a un chico español que se llama Enrique. So I met a Spanish boy that's called Enrique. Tiene la misma edad que yo y es muy guapo. He's the same age as me and he's very handsome. Here, again, if you wanted to keep it simpler, you could just give his age. But it's interesting to show the examiner that you know how to use words such as la misma edad, and you know that edad is femenina, and so on. Nos llevamos muy bien. We get on very well. You can use that when describing any person. Y estoy encantada de conocerle. Again, another one. If you're talking about people you've met, I'm delighted to have met him. Estaba en un restaurante. We just fixed a little typo there. Estaba en un restaurante hoy y no podía entender lo que decía el camarero. So, I was in a restaurant today and I couldn't understand what the waiter was saying to me or what he was saying. Qué vergüenza. How embarrassing. A veces es difícil comprender todo lo que dice la gente en español, sobre todo en las tiendas y los restaurantes. Sometimes it's difficult to understand everything the Spanish people are saying to me, or everything that people say to me in Spanish, especially in the shops and restaurants. So here we've mentioned the difficulties we've been having, and we gave an example of when we were in a restaurant and actually couldn't understand what was being said to us. No he tenido suficiente tiempo para visitar todos los monumentos. I haven't had sufficient time to visit all of the monuments. Qué lástima. What a pity. Por eso espero volver aquí otra vez para visitar la iglesia de la Sagrada Familia en el futuro. So here we said, so I hope to return here another time in order to visit the Church of the Sagrada Familia. En el futuro, again, in the future. So here, the Sagrada Familia is just a famous church in Barcelona. You don't have to say that. You could say you want to visit Más Monumentos or somewhere else you want to visit. But it shows the examiner again that you know Barcelona and you know things to do with the culture of Spain. Finally, bueno me estoy durmiendo, así que lo dejo aquí del momento. Well, I'm sleeping. Basically, I'm falling asleep here. Así que, so I'll leave it here, or I'll leave you here for the moment. Buenas noches, Laura. So good night, and then sign off at the end. It doesn't matter if you use your own name or make up a name, that's fine. You'll notice we've used those phrases vaya or que 4 times here. We've almost used one for each point with the exception of the person you met, but we've used one to open up the actual diary entry as well. You'll notice we've used a variety of tenses too. So obviously the present tense is used quite a lot. We've also used the preterite past tense, conocí. We've used estaba, the imperfect tense, and podía for something that was happening or ongoing, and we're describing the scene where you were. Decía is another one. And we've used he tenido for I haven't had enough time. You're also showing how when you combine 2 verbs, provided the 2 subjects are the same, the second one is in the infinitive. And we've got our present continuous here, estoy durmiendo. Vamos a practicar. This time, you try it yourself. So again, using the notes that you got that accompany this lesson, you'll find this, and I'd like you to try doing it yourself first. Approach it the same way, break down the tenses you might need and the verbs you might need, and then try to put together the diary using the structure first, and then go back and try and elaborate your points a little bit, expand on them without expanding too much, because you don't want to expand so much that you start making mistakes. Then come back to the video and check out the answer. So for the first point, you could use me siento or estoy. For the second point, you could say lo que me gusta más. Again, remember, these are just suggestions. For the third one, mi vecino es, my neighbor is. And for the last one, you could use the present tense, espero que, plus the subjunctive. So for the first 3, it's been fairly straightforward, present tense. The last one is a really good opportunity to use the subjunctive because there's 2 different subjects. I hope that, so we've got que, my family will visit. Let's look at the sample answer. So again, we've got the date. We've got Dear Diary, querido diario. Hoy ha sucedido algo emocionante. Today, something exciting happened. Me he mudado a un apartamento en Segovia porque estoy aquí para estudiar por un año. We've used por here because we're talking about duration. So I have moved to an apartment in Segovia because I'm here studying for a year. ¡Qué ilusión! How exciting. Me siento muy nervioso de vivir fuera de Irlanda y lejos de mi familia por primera vez, pero al mismo tiempo estoy muy emocionante y tengo muchas ganas de pasármelo bomba. So, I'm feeling very nervous about living away from Ireland and far from my family for the first time. But at the same time, I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to having a great time. We've seen me lo paso bomba before. Here, it's been used in the infinitive because of ganas de. So pasar is the verb. We've added the accent because the object pronouns has made it longer. Me is instead of me lo paso bien. And the lo is again the lo, except they're all attached to the end. So our indirect object pronoun is first, then our object pronoun. El apartamento es bastante grande y moderno. The apartment is quite big and modern. Lo que me gusta más es el lugar donde está situado. The thing that I like most is the place where it's situated. Again, you could use this to describe many things. You're showing the examiner that you know how to use ser here in the first sentence to describe the characteristics of it, and estar in the second one to show its location. Hay muchas tiendas y restaurantes, so there's lots of shops and restaurants. That's a nice, easy way to expand our point. Además, desde mi ventana se puede ver una vista maravillosa del acueducto de Segovia, que es un monumento muy famoso. Again, like with the other diary entry, we're showing that we know a little bit about the culture here. So Segovia has a famous aqueduct. Don't worry if the city you're talking about, if you don't know much about it, that's fine. It's just if you do, it's a good opportunity to use that information. So furthermore, from my window, se puede ver, so one can see, or it can be seen, a marvelous view of the Segovia Aqueduct, or the Aqueduct of Segovia, which is a very famous monument. Qué suerte, how lucky. Se puede here is an example of us using the passive voice with se, so it can be seen. Mis vecinos son muy majos, so my neighbors are very sound. Los padres se llaman Diego y Isabel y tienen un hijo que se llama Paco. Again, very simple stuff, but we're doing what we've been asked, we're describing them. The parents are called Diego and Isabel, and they have a son that's called Paco, or who's called Paco. Él tiene la misma edad que yo. You'll notice that's the same as the last one. He is the same age as me. Y es alto, moreno y muy guapo. And he's tall, dark, and very handsome. Nos llevamos muy bien. We get on very well. So we're giving information about the person we've met. It doesn't have to be overly complex, but at the same time, we are giving plenty of information and showing that we know more than just one adjective to describe the person. We're showing that we know to use tener with his age, ser with his physical description, and then a nice phrase, nos llevamos muy bien, to say you get on very well. Espero que mi familia me visite durante el año. I hope that my family visit me during the year. So here, not only are we showing the subjunctive, but we're also showing that we know how to use object pronouns. In this case, a direct object pronoun, visit me. Me gustaría llevarla a todos los lugares interesantes. I would like to bring la here refers to la familia. So I would like to bring them to all of the interesting places. Again, you're showing how you can combine two verbs, and when the subjects are the same, you put the second one in the infinitive. Plus, you're showing that you know there are instances where you can put the object pronoun on the end of the infinitive verb. Esto es todo por hoy. Mañana te cuento más. This is all for today. Tomorrow I will tell you more. Buenas noches, Laura. Pause the video and take some notes from this. Write this into your notes and have it as a sample. The key is in learning some phrases and having some vocabulary on hand that you're ready to use but can adapt. Gracias por ver esta lección de Great Academy. Hasta la próxima. Happy learning.